For any of you who've read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, you're already familiar with the idea of Parkinson's Law. For those of you who haven't, I strongly recommend it, and I've linked about it in the course outline and supplemental materials. It's an essential handbook on productivity and efficiency, and this course is heavily influenced by Tim's teachings, combined with my own tricks and tips for implementing them. In any case, Parkinson's Law is the idea that work expands to fill the time allotted. When we feel we have all the time in the world, work drags on and expands. We decide to add more details, triple check unnecessarily, and so on. In reality, our brains are really effective at synthesizing what is and is not important, especially when we're in a rush or under pressure. If you were ever that student that waited until the last day of the semester to write your term paper and accomplished weeks worth of work in an evening, then you've experienced Parkinson's Law. In fact, many people are baffled to find that they do their best, most productive work in spurts like this. If this is true, then why not hack the psychological force behind Parkinson's Law? Why not set artificial deadlines for how long we'll allow things to take? After all, we've all had days where we hardly manage to finish a few hours of work by 5 p.m., while paradoxically, we finish an entire day's worth of work when we have to leave early. Personally, I found that it's quite difficult to set artificial deadlines though, because deep down, I know that they're fake and meaningless. I read about Parkinson's Law years and years ago in the 4-Hour Workweek, and I failed to implement it until I discovered my own hack: making the deadlines real. When I know that I can push back the deadline, I usually do, and then work will expand once again. However, if I've set up a Skype call or a meeting or a doctor's appointment, there's no pushing that back. And so, as I wrote this very script to this lecture, I was rushing against the clock, knowing that I had an appointment only half hour away. I decided that I had to write out all my scripts for all the lectures through section 2 before leaving, because I wouldn't have time after my appointment. I simply couldn't believe how productive I was, and I bet you haven't noticed the difference in quality in the lecture. I use this hack all the time. I find that the pressure of being late and the unpleasantness of leaving tasks incomplete is highly effective for me. I bet that throughout the day there are dozens of things that you simply can't push back. Picking the kids up from school, a meeting with your boss, and so on. When those things happen, you have small blocks of time. So pick a task that should take twice as long and try to sandwich it in. Worst case, your work quality isn't good enough and you have to revisit it. But even if that happens, and it probably won't, the surge of productivity will be astonishing, and you can always apply a new deadline to the revision work too. Play around with Parkinson's Law and set some deadlines for work that drags on and on and see how that work goes. You'll probably cut some corners, but those corners probably won't be important or worth the time they would take. In fact, the majority of the details in reality aren't important in a lot of tasks. But hold on, that's the subject of our next lecture.